It's muted.
David, we can't hear it. Oh, we're muted. Oh.
No music.
No music today. Let me see if I can.
Terry was saying she recorded it.
No, she did. Where's David? I'll let David know at least.
Okay.
So I have an idea. Since these moments are always so interesting, why don't we all think of our favorite silly song and let's all hum it together, see how it sounds. Little bunny foo foo.
Like the,
What? That's it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Lynchburg. Whoever you are, whatever your beliefs, whatever your age, your gender identity, and whomever you love, you are welcome here. As we work together for justice, compassion, and peace, we also acknowledge with humility that our buildings sit on Monacan land. My name is Courtney Senna, and I am your Director of Lifespan Engagement. If you are with us for the first time on Zoom or in the sanctuary, we are glad you chose to be here this morning to participate in the service for this congregation we so love. If you would like to receive our monthly newsletter and Friday email updates, please fill out the virtual visitor card found on our website at uulynchburg.org under Sunday Services, or fill out the yellow card found in the back of the chair in front of you and place it in the offering basket. I want you all to know that Emily was supposed to be here today, and she is such a gift to this congregation, and we need to appreciate her more. She became sick last night, and so she had to pivot to virtual. And instead of asking us to change the music and choose from something in the recording library, she went sick and made these recordings for us last night so we would have them today. She's just a lovely gift. And I believe we have an announcement from our board president.
Good morning.
Good
Jim
morning.
Billings. Yes, I would like to announce that the board has contracted with a minister to facilitate a multi-module congregational training workshop. And that we hope to start in, well, before the end of this month. So we're working out the details now, but the Reverend Leela Sinha, no relation to Kim and Courtney, is based in Portland, Oregon. I had a whole speech printed out that was actually meant to be read and not spoken, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. But it's a multi-module training workshop that's based on a specialized framework that we hope will bring us closer together, help us understand our congregation a lot better, and prepare us to call or to contract with a minister and potentially call a minister that meets the needs of our congregation. So thank you.
During our service today, we will have a chance to talk about 3 questions. These questions are, where do we find kindness and hope sprouting? What do we need so we can be strong in the world? And how can we live with meaning in this time? Thank you.
Now I invite us to release our worries about the world and our own lives as we enter into the service by taking some deep, slow, calming breaths. It's always wonderful to be here together. So Zoomies, would you like to say good morning to the Roomies? And Roomies, would you like to say good morning to the Zoomies? It's a wonderful day to be together. Let us now join in our unison responses. Courtney lights our chalice. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to serve and not to curse, to serve you, O Spirit of life. Our opening words this morning remind us of why we're here. So let us listen with open hearts and minds. Reading Called to Presence by the Reverend Bob Janice Dillon. Here within these walls, here in this community of love and justice, we pause in our busy lives to consider what is worthy of our deepest yearnings. In the time we're given here, may we pay attention to the wonder of each moment. May we grieve what is lost, and may we be grateful for our life on this beautiful earth. and may we prepare ourselves for the work love calls us to do, just as we are. May we be the beloved community. Thank you. This is a morning when we can, all of those of us who are young at heart can enjoy this story. I really love it.
That's right. So I don't have any littles today, but I am lifespan engagement. So I'm here for all of you. And I am so excited. This is my new favorite book. Really.
I think we skipped the hymn.
No, if you'll look at the hymn is coming later today. Thank
Okay.
you.
So I am very excited to share this book with all of you. And it's called When You Find a Hope.
Can't hear Courtney.
You can't
Yeah, Courtney needs to talk into a mic.
I am on a mic.
It,
It is on.
It's one of those mornings.
I can switch mics though.
yeah, switch mics.
All right. Is that better?
And y'all are going to get a hymn. It's just late.
Yes.
Okay,
Reverend
sorry about
shaking-
that.
Reverend Terry's shaking
We know
things
I
up this
forget
morning.
things sometime, but this morning we're singing it later.
Yes, she's keeping us on our
Because I
toes.
couldn't wait for the book.
I know. All right. So for those of you on Zoom, I was saying that I don't have any littles today, but that's okay because my work with all of you is lifespan engagement. So I'm going to share my current favorite book with you because it is so good. And it's called When You Find a Hope. There once was a tree that grew hope from its branches. People came from near and far to visit the tree, plucking off whatever hope they could reach. They'd take their hopes home and hide them somewhere safe, so nothing could ever harm them. A curious girl came to the tree. When she saw the highest hopes, the brightest ones at the very top, she knew that was what she wanted. She climbed all the way up, grabbing the largest hope she could find. Hi, Polly. But when she got back to the ground, she discovered her hope was different from the others. Her hope could float. If she didn't hold on to it tightly, it would drift away, far out of reach. It had a mind of its own. To make sure she didn't lose her hope, the girl tied a string around it and tethered it to her side. While everyone else kept their hopes hidden away, the girl took hers everywhere. They became inseparable. But then something unexpected happened. The girl's hope was crushed, broken into bits. She found all the pieces and stuck them back together, but it wasn't the same. She tried everything, tossing it in the air, making it wings, tying the string as tightly as she could, but her hope wouldn't float. Still, it was her hope. She didn't want to go anywhere without it. So the girl dragged her hope with her wherever she went. But over time, it felt heavier and heavier to pull. Everyone wondered why she kept bringing it along. Her hope was broken, after all. There was nothing she could do with it anymore. But still, the girl would not give up holding on to her hope. Until one day, the string behind her suddenly felt light. "I've lost all my hope," the girl exclaimed. "There's no more left." Sad and tired, she didn't bother trying to find the pieces. They were probably long gone by now. She untied the string from her side and left it behind. Life without her hope became gray and dreary. The girl was no longer curious or excited. She kept to herself and took the long way home to avoid the hope tree. It hurt too much to look at. There were plenty of other hopes she could grab hold of, but she was too afraid. She didn't want the same thing to happen. It felt safer to never have hope again. Seasons passed, and the girl noticed something she'd never seen before. A line of small trees was sprouting from the ground, leading back to where she had left the string. Who planted you? She wondered, because no one seemed to be caring for them. So she cared for them herself, watering and pruning and helping them stand. And then something unexpected happened. On the ends of the branches, tiny hopes began to blossom. They looked like her hope. Below the surface of the ground, the broken, scattered pieces she thought she'd lost were giving life to new blooms. They were growing into something she didn't know was even possible. The girl's hope no longer floated. Instead, it was rooted deep and strong, because her hope wasn't meant for just her anymore. It was meant for something bigger. The girl shared the blooms on her trees with others, and the more she shared, the more hope spread. The end.
Wow.
Isn't that a good book?
I really like that book.
I like this book a whole lot. All right, so we are upstairs this morning talking about having hope in the face of injustice and how we can pay attention to what's around us to help make a difference in the world. So we're going to head upstairs while you all think about your 3 questions today.
Thanks.
All right, David, you can play us out. Ready?
What? It was being. Sorry, it was being. 1 second.
Take a moment and welcome our newest member, Ashton. I'm so glad y'all are here.
Hello, I made it. I was hoping to be able to virtually
This
make
is
this.
baby Artemis Jan.
Its powerful hydraulic system allows it to.
It
I'm
was.
so glad you joined us today.
It was. It went so well that as the doctor was leaving the room, he told his med student it usually doesn't go that well. So everything is
Thanks
smooth.
for being here.
She's eating and sleeping, you know, and we are happy to be done and be home. So
We can't hear you very well, but we're
can
so
you hear me now?
yay.
Okay. She's very healthy. It went very smoothly. We are happy to be done, happy to be home. She's eating and sleeping like a champ. And yeah.
That's great.
I have really appreciated everyone. Courtney brought us dinner last night, so
Yeah.
yeah.
That's wonderful. Now that we've celebrated that very special gift, bless her heart, that's a good Southern bless your heart. We take an offering of our gifts for the work of this community, both within this building and in the larger world.
For whatever reason, it did not want to.
From you I received, to you I give, together we share. gifts that were generously given. We gratefully receive them. So this morning, I realized that I've been thinking a lot about this service, and I decided what I wanted to do. And then this morning, I was arguing with myself about whether I agreed with David Brooks in his final column. So you can argue with it all you want. Hopefully, this will start a discussion. I received a wonderful email from my friend Cynthia, who's a very thoughtful person and trying to survive. She retired as an infectious disease specialist from the Centers for Disease Control. She's having a hard time in her life right now. But she sent me a link to David Brooks' farewell column in the New York Times. And this month, we know we're focusing on paying attention, and I decided I really wanted to highlight some of his thoughts about how we might live love in the world. Brooks speaks in part to the importance of one of the sources of our faith, humanism, as a key ethic in American society. And I'm relying heavily on Brooks's column because it speaks to difficult and complex realities we need to face as we find and nurture hope. At the end of my thoughts, I'd like for us to take a little time to share together among ourselves. So Brooks starts off his column by saying, "We have become a sadder, meaner, and more pessimistic country." One recent historical study of American newspapers finds that the public discourse is more negative than at any other time since the 1850s. We're abandoning our humanistic core. The elements of our civilization that lift the spirit, nurture empathy, and orient the soul now play a diminished role in national life. Religious devotion, theology, literature, art, history, philosophy. Many educators decided that because Western powers spawned colonialism, and they did, students in the West should learn nothing about the lineage of their civilization and should thereby be rendered cultural orphans. Activists decided persuasion is a myth and that life is a ruthless power competition between oppressors and oppressed groups. As a result of technological progress and humanistic decay, life has become objectively better, but subjectively worse. We have widened personal freedom, but utterly failed to help people answer the question of what freedom is for. The most grievous cultural wound has been the loss of shared moral order. We told multiple generations to come up with their own individual values. Sounds sort of you. This privatization of morality burdened people with a task they could not possibly do, leaving them morally inarticulate and unformed. It created a naked public square where there was no broad agreement about what was good and true and beautiful. Without shared standards of right and wrong, it's impossible to settle disputes. It's impossible to maintain social cohesion and trust. Every healthy society rests on some shared conception of the sacred. Sacred heroes, sacred texts, sacred ideals. And when that goes away, anxiety, atomization, and a slow descent toward barbarism are the natural results. It shouldn't surprise us that, according to one Harvard study, 58% of college students say they experienced no sense of purpose or meaning in their life in the month before they were polled. Brooks' view of our time is harsh and frightening. And while I hold some different beliefs than he does, I think what he says holds much truth. We have been paying attention, and we know the foundation of our culture is cracked. I wanted to say crumbling, but that seemed really pessimistic. And I think people of goodwill and intention can salvage us. We also are people who affirm the right of individuals to honor their own search for truth and meaning. And a lot of research shows that so many Americans are dealing with religious trauma because of some of the religious rigidity that we have now. The humanistic values, a source of our UU faith, have been dismissed, discounted, demeaned. We no longer have universally accepted values that guide our nation's decisions. While racism and injustice are part of this nation's reality, there have always been those who have worked toward a higher good, centering love, compassion, and justice as primary in our culture. These values are now being dismissed as weakness. What will help us reclaim the values of humanism and humanity? What song might ignite our identity once again? I invite us to rise in body or spirit to share our opening hymn, number 159. This is my song.
And just to let you know, there's no vocal on this one. It's just the words will appear, but there is no Emily's not singing this one.
Okay, I think this is familiar enough that we can go for it. Brooks has more for us to consider. He writes, we could use better political leadership for sure, but the crucial question facing America is, how can we reverse this pervasive loss of faith in one another, in our future, and in our shared ideals? I do not believe that most people can flourish in a meaningless, nihilistic universe. Despite what the cynics say, I still believe we're driven not only by selfish motivations, but also by the moral ones, the desire to pursue some good, the desire to cooperate, to care for one another, and to belong. Life is about movement, and the flourishing life is the same eternal thing. Some man or woman striving and struggling in service to some ideal. The good news is that culture changes all the time as people adjust to meeting the crises of their moment. In the 1890s, the social gospel movement eventually led to political change, the progressive era. American culture also shifted radically between 1955 and 1975, producing a culture that was less conformist, less sexist and racist, more creative than the one that came before, though also one that was more atomized. The culture war that began in that period produced both the modern left and the modern right. American culture today is already vastly different from how it was during the great awakening of 2020. We Americans went through hard times before, and we have always recovered through a process of cultural rupture and repair. Some old set of values and practices has to be torn away and some new ones embraced. Friends, we're here in the midst of a giant rupture in our culture. And we are those who can help repair the broken people and places. During the development of our nation, our Unitarian and Universalist ethics helped shape the shared values of our society, even when we didn't live up to them. Yet we are at a place where our shared dreams and vision for the highest good for all people have often been lost. Too many are turning away from compassion and peace and toward war. While people in our nation lack food, housing, medical care, and justice, we spend hundreds of $millions a day on a war that goes against our welfare and international well-being. Just as the little girl in the book lost her hope when it broke, we are called to pay attention and to find the places where we can bear witness to hope, to our ethics, and to our values. It's so easy to feel hopeless. So I want us to take just a few minutes. Let's see. Yes. I'd like for us to sort of divide up as we feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable doing this, then, sit and read some of the wonderful readings in the hymnal. If you're in the sanctuary, folks on Zoom, I see who's up there. I know y'all are good at talking. So I'm not going to worry about y'all. So let's let's gather together in twos or fours or whatever to answer these three questions. Where do we find kindness and hope sprouting? In other words, where do we see the good happening? Another question is, what do we personally need so we can be strong in the world? And third, how can we live with meaning in this time? They're the questions. So let's swirl around for a few seconds and find some folks to talk to. If you want to be by yourself, that's okay. Just say, I want to be by myself.
We need to. Hello.
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 You want to be a Zoom group?
Yep.
Where do we find kindness and hope sprouting?
Yeah, how can we nourish that?
Well, I find it with the protests that are being
Yeah.
held.
Yeah, that's heartening.
That's hope anyway. Kindness certainly within our own congregation.
Right.
Yeah, and I have a sort of special situation going on, but a lot of people will offer you help and
Right.
just say yes.
It's true.
Yes, and thank you.
Yes.
There, there are a lot of people that volunteer, like for in our church and for other organizations to help people. They're there. They don't get the publicity that the war gets or the terrible things get, but they're there and they're working. The kindness is there. It's just sort of not in view too often.
You know, when I think about things like the World Central Kitchen that fixes millions of meals and goes to places where they are at jeopardy and lose their lives, and Doctors Without Borders,
Yes.
and just even here looking at Parkview Mission and a lot of the places that take care of people so well locally.
Yes.
So kindness has not disappeared.
No. And Rick has found that too with his Parkinson's, that there's just no end of kindness of people just
Right.
seeing when something might be needed, of opening a door or whatever, that their kindness does abound.
I have been kind of surprised that, I don't know why I was surprised, but amazed at how many people offer help.
So what do we need so we can stay strong in the world? Oh man. That's a hard one.
We need faith in something stronger than ourselves that will
Mhm.
ultimately guide us in a direction where we will realize our spiritual worth and come together on that basis.
Ay, boy.
Go ahead, Ann.
I think what Terry said, I think I lost my train of thought. Oh, well.
I just hope that all the people that are doing all the good that we see can keep doing it and keep growing it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know. She said we've been broken badly before, and there's always been people who have been able to step up and do what was needed to get us back on track. And I think we just need to recognize people and hope they don't lose their hope.
You know, when I think about going to No King's Day and to protest and think, you know, what good is this? You know, that things are so badly ruptured. What good is this? But I think if we don't continue to do that and don't continue to support things and to let people know that we're out there wanting to fix things, then
Yeah.
it's not good. So we'll keep doing it.
I keep thinking of the bluegrass song. I ain't broke, but I'm badly bent.
How can we live with meaning in this time? Boy, just clinging to hope. You guys have ideas of that?
I want to jump back to that previous question, how we can be strong in the world. We need a leadership that reflects our highest values. We don't have that at
No.
this point. That's sad. And I don't know how that can be restored. But we had it, I think, at one point, and it seems to have gone, but we need it back.
Right.
At this point, the only way I can see any kind of leadership change is through the midterm elections and the hope of changing to a different
That's what we're
leadership
hoping.
structure. And if that doesn't happen, then boy, we're going to have to really struggle and work together. I don't know.
I keep thinking back to the seven principles. I know the UU organization has moved away from that a little bit, and I really wasn't part of that conversation. But the seven principles to me are kind of a nice summary of how I need to live, and what I need to support.
Hmm. I guess I'm trying to see this.
I think Terry is speaking in the sanctuary, so
Okay.
uh,
Let's just take 3 or 4 minutes. If you're on Zoom, if something popped out of y'all's discussion that you want to share, just speak up. If you're in the sanctuary, if you don't mind coming up to the microphone and sharing something that bubbled up in your group. Now you're quiet. Come on, John, break the ice.
This is almost could be just as well have been done and said in joys and concerns. Many of you know Trudy and I are very, very active with the Appalachian Scenic Trail. Yesterday, one of our sacrifices was to sit through 5 hours of meetings.
Bless you.
With the heads of the local volunteer clubs, the regional staff from the Parkway at the Blue Ridge Parkway, and from the George Washington Jefferson Forest. I'm gonna stumble a little bit there, but so we had 20 people. That's the mix of volunteers and for government staff. Now, typically, if you start someone to ask them what they think of the government, you'll get this, oh, I hate the government. No. What we had here is we spent 5 hours working through issues that we know are going to come up this year and in the management and the park. It was all done with goodwill and just very straightforward conversation. No one got shouted out, no shouting, just a lot of laughs, because we all face similar problems. But so how this relates to what just Terry says, what I see, if on one hand, people are exposed to a lot of hate mongers, people who make money by selling hate. But the same good of people sitting there just talking had a very good afternoon. And it takes a lot to survive 5 hours of meeting and come away smiling.
That's great. That's very hopeful, John. That's one of those trees of hope that are growing up.
Uh,
Kenan.
So my name is Kevin Murphy, and my parents are visiting actually today as well from out of town. In our small group, we were discussing the questions, and the event of having a house fire actually came up both from my parents' side and also one of the other participants in our group, Jim Billings. And so it was good to see that despite both coming from a very different background, having different like beliefs like on a lot of different issues, there's a lot of common mentioning of like how local community really came out to really help both people to bring clothing, to bring food, to bring comfort, that sort of thing. And it was also really nice to see that there's also a lot of like personal perspective that influences how they react and how they move forward post a crisis like that. For some, it might be more along the lines of like, you know, say humanism within the Unitarian Universalist congregation that we're all part of. And for others, they might have theological motivations or other types of very personal reasons as to what gets them through. But I think the important thing at the end of the day is that whatever metric or source system that they use to try to process that sort of event and to move forward stronger and better than before is that it makes sense for them, and that's something they can consistently live by, and to show others that there is something that's worth living for when it comes to each other as a larger community, and that we can support each other even though we may be coming from very different perspectives. So hopefully that brings a little bit of light to some of these questions we're discussing.
Yeah, I think that's really important, Kenan, because I think sometimes we forget that we're all part of one family until there's a crisis.
True.
And I know we're really thinking about the people in Michigan right now. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was gonna say something similar in regards to like knowing people are good. Um, I've lived here 2 years, and while I was in the hospital, Orion had people to care for him, and we were trying to think of anything we bought for the baby last night, and we can't. So like, people will offer you help, and if you just say yes, like people are there for you, are there for each other, and we're taught to say no, but like, don't say no.
That's right. And that helps us build friendships and communities across easy friendship lines. That's great, Ashton.
Hello, I'm Chris Sani, and in our group we were talking about as far as the places that we're finding hope. If you step back and look at the great big picture, it can be overwhelming and seem pretty dark. But when you look closer in, you can see groups like Food Not Bombs and other local groups that are working to spread generosity and to help each other and to support one another. And that's really where we find these sparks of hope. Sparks of hope in seeing the high school kids recently that staged a walkout in recognition of their beliefs. So if you have your eyes open to it, you can see these little sparks around you that you can let warm your hope. And then as far as finding meaning and moving forward, it's, as everyone basically is saying here, it's community. It's all surrounding, finding connections with people on multiple different levels of areas of interest, areas of belief, and just supporting each other as communities. And that's how we were seeing it, making it through and continuing on.
Thanks, Chris. One of the things that Courtney was sharing with me this week, I've been not paying attention since I was moving. So she said that one of the things that's happening right now is we are running out of books for our little free library, especially children's books, because people are getting food from our daily bread and walking around the corner and sitting on our porch with a book from the little free library and having lunch. And families either going to court or coming back from court are letting their children pick a special book from our little free library. So, I put this out on our ministers group, and we've already got this huge bag from Quaker Memorial Presbyterian of children's books, and they're going to give us more. So we have to get the word out and work together in so many ways. Thank y'all so much for, for our friends who are visiting. Thanks for being flexible. One of the things that's really important to us as a community is supporting one another as we go through life's celebrations and challenges. And so this morning, if you have a joy or a concern that you would like to share, if you're in the sanctuary, if you would come up and please tell us your name and what's on your heart today. And if you're on Zoom, then just shout it out. As we sit with our hearts and minds open to care for one another, let us hear the music for meditation that Emily prepared for us. Spirit of life and love, we hold up today the wonder and mystery of life. And we also hold up our worries for our loved ones, as well as people around the world whose names we may never know. We hold with compassion and love. So people suffer in mind, body, or spirit. May they find healing and wholeness. We hold up the reality that there are times when we're tired, when we feel isolated. May we trust that the center of our community holds firm, that the core of our faith holds values and principles that support the highest good of humanity. We give thanks for the coming of spring, for the reminders that everything in the world is sacred, that beauty abounds, that hope takes root. And we can see this if we pay attention. We give thanks for those who continue in their daily lives to offer goodness and hope and caring and acts of justice to those whose lives they touch. This we ask in the name of all that is sacred. Our closing hymn is number 207, Earth Was Given as a Garden. Please rise in body or spirit.
Children, one Fill us, Lord, with grace overflowing. Teach us how to live in peace.
As we prepare to go out into the world, roomies, let's say goodbye to our Zoomies. Zoomies, say goodbye to our roomies. It's been wonderful to be here together today. As our service draws to a close, we extinguish the flame of our chalice as we share these words. Do you mind? Thank you. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing words of blessing come from Billy Chapata. May you have friends that are sanctuaries, and may you be that kind of friend to others. May you be safe ground where others can breathe, unfold, and be the best version of yourselves. Go in love and go in peace. Go in peace, blessed be.